NEC 346.9 focuses on the mechanical integrity of threaded rigid metal conduit, or RMC, and intermediate metal conduit, or IMC, connections. It mandates that these connections be wrench-tight. This requirement ensures a secure and electrically continuous pathway for the grounding of the electrical system and the physical protection of conductors. The code's primary concern is the tightness of the connection, not the amount of thread exposed. The requirement that conduit connections be wrench-tight is to ensure a solid mechanical connection and good electrical continuity. A wrench-tight connection minimizes the risk of loosening due to vibration or thermal expansion and contraction. This is critical for maintaining the integrity of the grounding path and the safety of the electrical system. The NEC does not explicitly dictate how many threads can be visible outside the coupling. The key is that the connection is mechanically sound and wrench-tight. Visual inspection of the threads does not determine compliance with 346.9 UB. The integrity of the connection when wrench-tight determines compliance. There are several reasons why threads may be visible outside a coupling even when the connection is properly tightened. First, variations in manufacturing tolerances between different brands or even different batches of conduit and couplings can result in slightly different thread lengths. This can lead to more or fewer threads being visible when the connection is fully tightened. Second, the depth to which the conduit is threaded into the coupling can vary depending on the force applied when tightening. While wrench-tight is the goal, the exact torque applied can differ slightly, affecting the final position of the conduit within the coupling. Third, the presence of thread sealant or lubricant can affect how easily the conduit threads into the coupling. This can also influence the final position of the conduit and the amount of exposed threads. It's important to distinguish between a properly tightened connection with exposed threads and a loose connection. A loose connection will exhibit movement or wobble when subjected to force. It may also show signs of corrosion or arcing over time due to poor electrical contact. If a connection appears loose, it should be inspected and tightened properly. While the NEC does not specify a maximum number of exposed threads, best practices in electrical installations often suggest minimizing the amount of exposed thread. Excessive thread exposure can increase the risk of damage to the threads, such as bending or corrosion, which can compromise the integrity of the connection over time. Additionally, exposed threads can present a safety hazard by snagging on clothing or equipment. To minimize the risk of issues associated with exposed threads, it is recommended to use appropriate thread sealant or lubricant. Applying a suitable thread sealant or lubricant can help to ensure a tight and corrosion-resistant connection. When cutting and threading conduit, it is important to use the correct tools and techniques to ensure clean and accurate threads. Damaged or poorly formed threads can make it difficult to achieve a wrench-tight connection and increase the risk of thread stripping. In summary, while NEC 346.9 mandates wrench-tight connections for RMC and IMC, it does not explicitly prohibit the presence of threads outside a coupling. The focus is on the mechanical integrity and electrical continuity of the connection. The absence of an explicit rule regarding thread exposure doesn't mean it is irrelevant. Good workmanship is always expected. Wrench-tight means that the connection is tightened securely using appropriate tools. Electrical inspectors often look for properly made-up connections, and excessive thread showing can sometimes raise concerns about whether the connection is truly wrench-tight. If there is concern that the connection is not tight enough, even with thread showing, it should be re-evaluated and potentially remade. When dealing with electrical installations, it is essential to consult the latest edition of the NEC and any applicable local codes. These codes provide detailed requirements for safe and compliant electrical work. Always adhere to these regulations and follow best practices to ensure the safety and reliability of electrical systems. Furthermore, one should consider that the goal is to have a solid, reliable connection and also one that looks professional. While the code may not explicitly prohibit thread showing, there's an implicit expectation of quality and neatness in electrical work.